The galaxy had forgotten Earth. To most, it was a backwater world orbiting an unremarkable star, a place of primitive species still crawling through the infancy of spaceflight. The Galactic Empire, spanning thousands of worlds, ruling countless civilizations, barely even marked it on their maps. Earth was beneath their concern, until it refused to pay tribute, and for defiance, the Empire had one answer: annihilation. So the Imperial fleet came. 1,000 warships, each the size of a floating city, emerged from hyperspace above the blue and white jewel of Earth. Their hulls shimmered with plasma shielding, bristling with cannons that had silenced empires. The fleet admiral laughed as the planet's primitive satellites flickered in their wake. 1 hour, he declared, and this world will kneel. But Earth had been waiting. For decades, humanity had grown in silence, hidden behind the illusion of weakness. They remembered their own history: centuries of war, endless conflict, and survival against every kind of enemy, even themselves. Where the galaxy saw a fragile world, humanity saw a fortress. The first move came from orbit. The Empire unleashed a wave of drones, sleek machines descending into Earth's atmosphere. Yet before they could even break the clouds, the skies shimmered. From the dark side of the planet, invisible satellites uncloaked, orbital defense platforms that had been hidden for decades. They fired. Pillars of light cut across the void, not plasma, not missiles, but railgun slugs traveling at fractions of light speed. Entire drone swarms vanished in bursts of fire. The Admiral frowned. This was no primitive resistance. Then Earth answered in full. From the surface, massive silos opened. Weapons that had never been shown to the galaxy revealed themselves: kinetic lances, ground-based rail systems, and directed energy beams. They rose into orbit like spears of vengeance. The Imperial fleet fired back, their cannons turning the night sky into a storm of plasma. But their beams found only shadows. Human warships emerged. They had been hidden in the oceans beneath the Arctic, ice and deep in underground hangars. Sleek, angular, and black as the void, Terran warships lifted into orbit. Their hulls shimmered with adaptive armor. Their engines pulsed with a blue fire the Empire did not recognize. The first salvo decided the battle. 10 human ships, no larger than Imperial frigates, cut through the Empire's vanguard with ruthless precision. They didn't fire hundreds of weapons. They needed only one shot each. Their railguns pierced shields as if they were glass, ripping holes through vessels that had survived centuries of galactic warfare. The Admiral's laughter turned to silence. Panic rippled through the Imperial command net. Their fleet, designed for intimidation and attrition, found itself outmaneuvered, outgunned, and undone by a species they had considered children. Human ships danced through formations, using tactics the galaxy had never conceived. Strike, vanish, strike again. The battle did not last an hour. It lasted minutes. From orbit, the once mighty Imperial fleet burned. Dozens of ships were reduced to glowing husks, their wreckage raining into the atmosphere like falling stars. Others tried to retreat, but hyperspace was denied. Earth's jamming fields locked them in place like prey. On the command bridge of the Imperial flagship, the Admiral watched in horror as his empire's pride crumbled. He gave the order to withdraw, but the void gave him no mercy. A single Terran battleship loomed before them, larger than the rest, its hull bearing the insignia of a world long mocked as weak. The battleship fired once. The Imperial flagship, along with the Admiral's arrogance, was erased in a flash of, light. Silence followed. The surviving fragments of the Imperial fleet fled, limping into hyperspace, carrying with them a story the galaxy would not believe. Until the recordings spread. Earth had not been conquered. Earth had conquered fear itself. From the planet's surface, humanity broadcast a message. It was short, sharp, and colder than any weapon. To the Galactic Empire, and to all who think Earth is prey, we are not weak, we are not defenseless. And we do not kneel. Come again if you dare. Our shield will break you. In minutes. And across the stars, civilizations trembled. For in one battle, the myth of human fragility was shattered forever. The galaxy had thought Earth was nothing, but they had learned a truth that would echo through history. Earth does not fall. Earth stands. The Imperial fleet entered Sol with the arrogance of conquerors. They had crossed hundreds of systems, burned civilizations to ash, and bent proud empires to their knees. Earth, a lone blue planet with no allies, would be no different. The Admiral of the fleet, a towering figure draped in Imperial crimson, looked at the small world on his display. His lips curled into a sneer. Primitive. Is this what dares resist the Empire? A world of savages who only recently left their cradle? His bridge officers laughed. They expected panic, transmissions of surrender, frantic cries begging for mercy. Instead, Earth was silent. No signals, no pleas, no attempts at negotiation. The planet hung quiet in the void, as if waiting. The Admiral mistook silence for weakness, and in that mistake, his fleet was already lost. The first wave descended. Hundreds of dropships launched, filled with soldiers eager for plunder, orbital cannons powered up, plasma fire charging in preparation for the bombardment. On the flagship, the Admiral raised a glass of spiced wine, confident that within hours, Earth would be a smoldering husk beneath his command. Then the silence broke. It wasn't a transmission. It wasn't a warning. It was the sky itself igniting. From the dark side of Earth, 1,000 points of light suddenly flared. At first, the Empire thought them satellites, perhaps primitive defense systems. But then they moved, fast, precise, and impossibly coordinated. The first kinetic strike tore through a battleship's shield as if it were paper. No energy signature, no plasma beam, just a tungsten slug accelerated to near relativistic speed. The battleship split in half before its crew even realized they had been hit. Then came the second, then the third. In less than a minute, dozens of Imperial warships became wreckage, their pieces burning in the upper atmosphere. The Admiral staggered to his feet, shouting orders. Raise shields! Return fire! Target those weapons! But there were no targets. The weapons weren't ships. They were part of Earth itself, an AI-controlled grid hidden in orbit, woven into satellites, disguised as civilian stations. For decades, humanity had built in silence, constructing a defense web that blanketed the planet like an invisible predator. The Empire's plasma cannons fired blindly into the void. Their beams cut through empty space, while rail slugs and orbital lances found their mark every time. The Admiral watched as another of his cruisers was vaporized, its plasma core detonating in a blinding flash. Panic rippled through the fleet. "Admiral!" one officer cried. "We can't lock onto their weapons. They're hidden in the planet's magnetic shadow." The Admiral's hands trembled. No one had ever dared challenge the Empire's fleets, not like this. He had come expecting to crush a primitive world. Instead, his fleet was being dismantled in minutes by weapons he could neither see nor stop. In the silence of his flagship, he remembered the briefings. Humans, aggressive, primitive, divided. But what the reports had not said was the truth. Humanity had been preparing. They had not wasted their wars. Every conflict, every scar in their history had been lessons. Where other worlds relied on diplomacy or fear, humanity had perfected survival, and survival had given birth to the silent weapon. The battle did not last long. The Imperial fleet, mighty and unstoppable, was reduced to chaos. Entire wings of ships tried to retreat, but their hyperspace drives failed. The grid had locked them out, scrambling their calculations. They were trapped. In desperation, the admiral ordered a full bombardment of the planet. If they will not kneel, then let Earth burn. But the planet refused. The grid awoke fully. Thousands of hidden cannons opened fire in perfect synchronization. Orbital beams lanced through the void, carving ships apart with surgical precision. Massive rods of tungsten, dropped from orbit with devastating velocity, shredded capital ships. As though they were made of glass. The fleet that had conquered empires was erased in minutes. The flagship was the last to fall. Surrounded bleeding fire from a dozen ruptures in its hull, it tried to flee. But in its path appeared something the admiral had not expected, a human warship. It was not vast like Imperial dreadnoughts, nor ornate like their capital ships. It was dark, angular, and efficient, built for one purpose, to end battles quickly. The warship did not fire missiles. It did not unleash plasma. It fired once, one tungsten slug from its railgun. The admiral's flagship was gone. Silence returned to orbit. The debris of the once mighty Imperial fleet drifted as broken husks around. The planet they had tried to enslave. Earth stood untouched, shielded by the weapon it had built in silence. Then a transmission went out. Not a plea, not a negotiation, but a declaration. The face of a human commander filled the surviving channels. His eyes were cold, his voice sharp, as steel. To the Galactic Empire, your fleet came to Earth. It lasted minutes. Return again, and the galaxy will witness the same. We are not prey. We are not yours. We are humanity. The message spread. Survivors carried it. Spies whispered it. Within weeks, the entire galaxy had heard the story, and everywhere, rulers trembled. For the Empire had been humbled. The invincible had been broken. And the name of Earth became something new. No longer primitive, no longer weak. Now, it was a warning. Earth waits in silence. Earth strikes without mercy. And Earth cannot be conquered. The Galactic Empire prided itself on history, thousands of years of conquest, a legacy written in blood across the stars. To its rulers, war was art, strategy was heritage, and fleets were their eternal symbol of dominance. But they had forgotten Earth's history. When the Imperial fleet arrived at Sol, its admirals expected submission. Earth was a minor planet, barely united, still recovering from its own conflicts. No presence in galactic councils. To the Empire, it was an insult that this insignificant world dared refuse tribute. The order was simple: conquer, enslave, erase, resistance. So the fleet came, armadas of dreadnoughts, destroyers, and carriers. Thousands of warships blotted out the stars as they emerged from hyperspace. Their formations stretched across Earth's skies, confident and unchallenged. The Imperial commander smiled. "One battle," he declared, "and this world is ours." He was wrong. For though humanity had no empire, no allies, no sprawling dominion across the stars, it had something far more dangerous: a memory. For millennia, humanity had fought. Tribe against tribe, nation against nation, ideology against ideology. Their history was a crucible of endless war. Where other civilizations had grown complacent under empires, humanity had never known peace without sacrifice. Every century had taught them new strategies, new technologies, new ways to adapt. The Empire looked at Earth and saw savagery. Humanity looked at itself and saw survival. The first strike came not from orbit, but from within. As the Imperial fleet prepared its bombardment, its ships flickered with static. Navigation systems glitched, engines stuttered. On several destroyers, targeting arrays shut down completely. The admiral snarled, "What is this interference?" He didn't know that Earth had already infiltrated his fleet. Human cyber warfare, refined through centuries of conflict, had slipped past the Empire's ancient firewalls. With every second, Imperial ships lost control of their own systems. Then Earth's warships rose. They had been hidden, deep in the oceans, beneath polar ice, camouflaged on the dark side of the moon. Dark, angular vessels, forged not for intimidation, but efficiency. Unlike the Empire's ornate giants, these ships carried the mark of human design, ruthless functionality, and they fought with tactics the galaxy had never seen. The first wave of Terran warships did not charge head-on. They split, scattering into unpredictable patterns, vanishing from sensors only to reappear at impossible angles. Some accelerated so hard they seemed to defy physics. Others cut power, drifting silently until they fired point-blank rail slugs that tore Imperial ships in half. The Admiral gaped. They fight like predators. Yes, predators who had once been prey. In minutes, the Empire's vanguard collapsed. Battleships were gutted before they could raise shields. Cruisers spun out of control as their navigation failed. Human warships hacked into enemy communications, broadcasting false orders, tricking Imperial squadrons into firing on their own. Every maneuver was surgical, every strike decisive. Humanity was not fighting a war of attrition. It was fighting with the cold precision of surgeons dissecting a corpse. Then the ground itself joined the battle. From Earth's surface, orbital railguns opened fire. Massive projectiles, invisible until impact, ripped through Imperial carriers. Kinetic strikes, rods from God, as humans once called them, fell from orbit, obliterating entire formations with the force of nuclear blasts, but without the radiation. The sky was fire. The fleet was chaos. And in that chaos, humanity thrived. The Admiral, desperate, unleashed his reserves. Hundreds of ships surged forward, determined to drown Earth in plasma fire. But humanity had anticipated this. Human fleets split into flanking groups, striking at weak points the Empire had never considered vulnerable. They darted into blind spots, swarming like wolves around prey. Some human ships sacrificed themselves, colliding into enemy dreadnoughts, tearing holes through their armored hulls so the rest could strike cleanly. It was war as the Empire had never known it. Not disciplined duels of fleets, not slow sieges, but raw, relentless adaptation. For Earth remembered its history, from ancient phalanxes to trench warfare, from aerial dogfights to cyber wars, every era had prepared humanity for this moment, and the galaxy was unprepared for a species that had mastered the art of survival through endless conflict. The battle lasted not hours, but minutes. The once mighty Imperial fleet was reduced to wreckage. Thousands of ships had come to enslave one planet. Less than 100 escaped. Even those limped into hyperspace, carrying tales of horror the galaxy would not believe until they saw the recordings. The Admiral's flagship, proud and gleaming, faced its end. Surrounded, its shields shattered, it tried one final gambit, a planetary bombardment. Plasma cannons charged, aiming to scorch Earth into ash, but before they could fire, Earth answered. A human battleship emerged from behind the moon. It bore no gilded markings, no banners, only the symbol of Earth's united fleet. Its railgun fired once. The flagship split apart, consumed in an explosion that lit the void brighter than the sun. The Imperial commander died in silence, staring at the world he had underestimated. When the smoke cleared, Earth stood untouched. From orbit, a transmission echoed across the surviving channels. A human voice, calm and cold, spoke to the galaxy. To the Empire, you looked upon Earth and saw weakness. You saw division. You saw a world of savages. What you forgot is this: our history is war, our unity is forged in fire, and our resolve is unbreakable. Your fleet lasted minutes. Remember that. The message spread like wildfire. Civilizations whispered of Earth. Allies began to seek its friendship. Enemies hesitated, their fleets holding back, no longer so certain of their superiority. The Empire, once invincible, had been humiliated, and humanity had announced itself not as prey, not as subjects, but as equals or predators. The galaxy had changed forever, for the old wars of Earth had returned, and the universe would never be the same.